Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I am joined by Mr. Sam Logan. Nice to have you on today.
You too, mate. Thanks for having me.
So, Sam, I have some questions for you.
Sounds good.
I know you as a PT at Empowered Fit, and as a boxing coach as well.
Yep.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from a small town in Hertfordshire called Tring, which is about 20 miles.
Tring?
Yeah, Tring. Yeah, have you heard of it?
Yeah, my best mate used to live there.
No
My best
way.
mate from Portugal, when he moved to the UK for a little while, he was living in Tring, yeah.
That's mad. Like, there's so many people who know Tring.
It's a nexus point in the universe, I think. Tring.
I think it is.
It's quite a special little town, isn't it? It has its own vibe.
With the Rothschilds from them.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You can't escape them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
And they've got something called the Tring Zoological Museum.
Yeah.
And basically he used to bring
Like poor people in there and put them in the zoo and laugh at them.
That as well. But also like foreign animals. So the first foreign animal to ever come to this country came to Tring, and it was Nathaniel Rothschilds.
Wow.
I think it's a zebra. I might have that wrong.
Yeah.
But so they've got like a big zoological museum there, and it's got like thousands of animals.
I think about that sometimes, because we take all this for granted. Obviously, we were raised in an era where there were zoos and you can just go and look at depressed-looking lions and dirty orangutans. Yeah. But the first time, if you were an English person and you saw a fucking zebra, you must have been. You must have been. This is a blag. They've painted that horse. That is a painted horse. We're over rubbing it and that. It is interesting. It's a whole. Oh, I know. I'm not a historian. I don't know much about it, but it must have been really, really weird for them. Can
you imagine an elephant? Like, you're used to rabbits and maybe some dogs.
Yeah.
Some
the biggest
like
thing
badgers.
we have is like a badger or a swan.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, there's an elephant. That's terrifying.
And the first you would have heard about it is somebody coming back from a country and going, let me tell you, it's fucking huge. It has a huge penis-like thing for a nose, and it picks things up with it. You'd be like, fuck off, Michael.
Here's a picture of it. Yeah, all right, mate.
Sure you did, yeah. Tell us another one. So you're from Tring.
Yeah.
Your accent is...
It's mental.
And this is because of your military background, right?
Yeah.
So... talk me through your childhood and then up to the military. What were you doing?
I was basically from like a really regular family. I got 3 brothers, and my dad was a policeman for like 20, 30 years. He was army before that. My oldest brother joined the Royal Navy when he was 16, so I was probably like 11. He was like ordered to join basically because he was a naughty lad.
Okay.
And it was like, you either go down the juvenile route or we'll give you a chance and you sort your life out through the military.
So there's a bit of court guidance,
pretty much.
This is the way you should go. Yeah.
And I was like a less naughty version.
Right.
So I was like, because I'd seen all the mistakes he'd made, I was just better at getting away with stuff than him. So I basically like geared my life up to be a professional footballer.
Okay.
And I was at Watford Centre of Excellence till I was 18. Then I had like a scholarship offer to America
as a football player
to play football. Yeah.
Wow. Soccer.
Soccer. And it just didn't materialize. I turned that offer down. Didn't materialise. We had some sort of financial difficulties with my parents, and it would have been a financial commitment to get me out there.
Yeah.
And I was very aware of my parents' situation, probably more so than I should have been. So anything to ease the burden I would do. So I turned that offer down.
Right.
Stopped playing football because there was a lot of hurt with it.
Yeah.
Started boxing at that time. So I was 18, started boxing, working in a bookies, and I was just sort of like, man, this sucks. And
You're working at bookies in Tring?
Working in a bookie, Coral Bookies.
Shout out to Coral Bookies.
Yeah. No, to be fair, it's a good job, but I was really unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And I felt like, and I don't know if everyone feels like this, but I felt like I'm made for so much more. No disrespect to anyone who does that for 20 years or whatever, but for me, I wanted to.
But you are a fucking waster. Joking, jokes, fam. Just kidding. Pond life, they call them in the army. Is that what you call them in the Commandos? Pond life.
I wanted to do stuff and be a someone, and that wasn't going to get me there. And so I wanted the hardest challenge possible. Was going to join the Royal Navy. My dad and my brother were both like, no, you'll be bored, join the Royal Marines, hardest challenge, go for it.
Right. Why did they say, because they know you, we don't, So you have an older sibling and a father, both with a military background, and you say, "I'll join the Navy," and they go, "Don't, for the love of Christ, don't hurt the Navy."
Yeah,
with that, with you,
I like
go in the Marines.
I'll always be. So I was this guy to sort of paint a picture. When we were in primary school, I had like 3 mates, and it'd be like lunchtime, and they're like, "Oh, what should we do?" And I'm like, "Should we fight?" I always loved fighting, like loved scrapping. My brothers like fighting and stuff like that. I'm not like a violent guy or anything like that. And
you're not a violent guy. You love fighting.
I love the feeling of sort of fear, and overcoming that fear and that. And would always sort of like love that element of it, and would put it about on the football pitch and things like that. Making myself sound like an idiot, but would just love that sort of.
You were a combative football player.
Yeah, definitely, and like not gobby or anything like that. Never been a
no, you
talker.
didn't talk. You just smashed him in the face with an elbow.
And in a fair way, wouldn't you? In a fair way. Kind of. And then so I think my dad knew me really well. My brother knew me from our various scraps throughout childhood.
Yeah,
and I think like. They could see I was just desperate for a challenge, desperate to push myself.
Did you say you were the youngest?
Second youngest.
The second
got a younger
youngest.
brother who's in the RAF.
Ah, okay.
So we're like very much a military family. Yeah.
Like the Rothschilds, you've got into everything. Every branch of the military.
A really poor version of the Rothschilds. Although my youngest brother's called Nathaniel, actually, funnily enough.
Oh, okay.
And so I think they knew that, Royal Marines is renowned as the hardest military training in the world. And I think they knew I needed that challenge.
Better than the parachute regiment, would you say?
Well,
go ahead.
Well, so the only thing I can base it off is my mate in basic training was an ex-para. He'd been a para for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I said to him one day, "Reg, be honest with me, like what's harder?" And he said Royal Marines training was harder.
So he did both training.
He was a para for 7 years. He'd done 2 ops, I think, left, and then joined the Royal Marines. I don't know why he did that.
Right, he's like a Dave Goggins.
Yeah, he's an absolute machine. Like, but he said just the scrutiny you're under in the Royal Marines, because it's very attention to detail orientated.
Yeah.
Less so with the army.
Yeah.
And I never slag the paras off or anything like that. Great soldiers and stuff. But that's what I go off. Like from someone who's done both. That's all I can go off. And obviously our training's longer as well.
Your training's longer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know I have a lot of American followers. Do you know what the equivalent would be in the Would it be like the Rangers versus the SEALs?
It's quite a hard one to place. It's sort of SEALs have got much better funding than us,
right?
But we're a lot more well trained than the average like USMC, like US Marine Corps. So somewhere between the two. We obviously have like specialists who are our mountain leaders, who would say you're probably looking at like SEAL Team 6 without ruffling any feathers. But then you're also bordering into Special Forces, which is our SBS, SAS.
Yeah.
So it's always hard to make that comparison.
It's really for the American viewers, because a Marine, you go, well, you're Royal Marines.
Yeah.
We're the Marines, and it's like, no. And it's not being patriotic or jingoistic. The standards for entry, anybody can look up. They are not the same. The rigor is not the same.
Our training is 9 months long.
Yeah.
It finishes with 4 commando tests. The last of that after 4 days is a 30-mile yomp, 8 hours, 30 miles over like really rough terrain. And when we do exercises with the USMC, no disrespect to them, they're, hats off to them. They're our allies. They're our best friends, but they can't match us when it comes to like carrying heavy weight over long distances, fitness and things like that.
And they're a vast, not a unit, they're a vast arm of the American military. There's a huge number of men.
Yeah.
And we're much smaller.
Yeah, we've got like 5,000 lads in the Royal Marines.
And God knows, I mean, that they probably have more officers in the Marines than we have actual
probably.
Marines. So it's a numbers game as well. And maybe if they reduced it down proportionately, with a view to elitism, they would probably be at the same level. You must have CrossFit nutters in the Marines, or MMA nutters in the Marines, American Marines.
They've got some hardcore guys. We had this PTI come over, physical training instructor from the US Marine Corps, couldn't run 3 miles, but would snap every single Royal Marine's neck within like a minute. He was like a UFC fighter.
Sure.
Absolute machine. He trained us in unarmed combat.
Yeah.
The guy was absolutely hardcore, but couldn't climb a rope, for instance.
Right.
So very, very different, like to us.
Yeah.
You know, the Commandos were sort of formed in World War II, basically to do small. Commando, I think, means like small teams of like, you know, basically like guerrilla warfare, pretty much. Like go in and freaking be sneaky beaky and that. And that's not the US Marine Corps model.
No.
But what I have seen is when we were in the California desert, there was a big empty desert just in front of us, and we saw about, I don't know, 30 or 40 vehicles come in, park up, open up, and within 10 minutes this entire camp appeared.
Yeah.
And like that showed me like, wow, like the funding that the US have, US Marine Corps and stuff, you know, like that can't be rivaled by the British.
Yeah.
So we're working on a lot smaller funding. So we've got to utilise our funding. It's a little bit like Leicester City and Man City.
Right.
Leicester have got to be really clever with how they pick their players and how they, whereas Man City can go, who's the best in the world? Oh, Haaland, we'll have him. Boom, 80 million sort of thing. So
yeah, it's a very different thing. I was actually wondering what the equivalent, right? So we have the parachute regiment and the Royal Marines. It's not quite special forces, but it's infantry units that are highly specialized.
Yep.
And then I was thinking, in America, I don't think there's an equivalent other than the Rangers, I guess, would fit into that.
I think they're special forces, though.
Oh, are they? Yeah,
I think
and
so.
Navy SEALs definitely are special forces.
And then within the Navy SEALs, you've got, I think it's SEAL Team 6, which is like their proper hardcore guys.
So even in the Navy SEALs, there's like, a hierarchy.
Yeah, whereas like with ours, it would be like your Royal Marine, you've got the mountain leaders who are like specialist sort of... like they do like obviously the mountaineering and stuff, but like to a hardcore level. But then we've got SBS and SAS,
right? And
they're sort of like one level. There's no like ranks within that that are better and stuff.
Again, it could all be a question of size, couldn't it? And scale, because my sister lived next door to a Marine officer for a while, and he was in logistics. And I find this kind of thing interesting, so I'd ask him about it. And they're basically managing small cities. They end up being like small city managers because they're just so huge. Where she is up in San Diego, there is Camp Pendleton is only like 15 miles up the road, so you can hear them doing exercises. You see the helichoppers in the skies when they're checking them out at night when they're doing night exercise and stuff. So So you were told, don't join the Navy, go for the Royal Marine Commandos. What happened next?
So I joined October the 19th, 2009, 19 years old. And like I was really fit, like really physically fit. I was boxing 6 days a week, normally twice a day, had dedicated like a year to it and everything. But what I wasn't was... like my admin was poor. I was mentally quite weak and just challenged in ways that I could never foresee. I literally thought, I'm going to be super fit here, like absolutely like nails. And then the sleep deprivation, the constant scrutiny, the in your face, like you're rubbish, you're scum, like, and the constant thrashings. And it's just like an eye opener.
What does, in the Royal Marine Commandos, what does it mean if your admin is weak?
So,
is that a reference to your personal agency, or? So
to put it in like an anecdote, I guess, we were given on the first night all our kit, which would like fill half this room, maybe a bit more. And it's like, this is at like, you basically, they show you how to fold it, iron it, everything like that, show you how it has to be absolutely immaculate within your wardrobe. And then it's like, right lads, 5 a.m. kit inspection. And so you're up the whole night organising it. You haven't got a clue. You've literally just joined that morning. It's called the shock of capture.
It's called the what capture?
The shock of capture.
Oh, the shock of capture.
So they're trying to get as many lads out as quick as possible.
Yeah. They're trying to get you to ring the bell, as they say in the SEALs.
They just want... So we started with 60. I think within the first week, like 11 or 12 had gone.
So they just put their hands up and say, I want to go.
Yeah. Injuries or homesickness or some...
And they don't try to stop them. They're like, off you pop.
Kind of, but no, because you don't want that lad. Like within 9 months' time, the training team could be alongside them in Afghanistan, and the last thing you need is a weakling, like mentally weak guy next to you. That first 2 weeks is just like, how many can we get rid of? So they just put absolute scrutiny on you, like white noise when we were trying to sleep, coming in at 3 a.m, throwing our beds everywhere, like just literally just breaking you down.
You're kind of like living with an abusive father.
Very similar. But there's like 6 of them.
So they're on shift. It's like father takes a nap and then the other one comes in and
You've got
takes over.
6 stepdads and they all hate you.
And this is they're sergeants.
Sergeants, corporals, captain.
Right.
Normally is the structure to a training team.
And if you give them the wrong name, was there punishments? Like if it was a corporal and you called them Sarge or Sarge Corporal, what would that
There's a little bit of like leniency, so they'll just call you like, oh, you're toilet. I'm not a sergeant. I'm a corporal, whatever.
Okay.
Like, you know, you're like you're saluting everyone because you ain't got a clue what the ranks mean and stuff like that. And there's like a little bit of like, you freaking muppet, like 20 burpees or whatever. Like,
right.
And that, so it's.
They didn't go berserk.
Nah, not for things like that. For other things, you'd get like I got stamped on like on the shooting range, and
what did you do on the shooting range?
I just missed the target, and it was like,
and they went ballistic.
Stamped on my back and was like, "You better apply yourself," and then I'm like, basically, you better shoot better.
Were you you were prone? You were lying down.
Yeah.
And, okay.
So it's like I'm in the prone position.
Yeah.
Probably not hitting the target very well, or my grouping's not good enough. First time I've ever held a rifle, probably seen a rifle. And then it's like stamp on the back, took the wind. I remember it to this day, took the wind out of me. I was like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
And my corporal was like, you better start applying yourself, Logan.
Jesus.
And it's like, so that's like me going to you, say you've never boxed before.
Yeah.
And we're in the ring sparring, and I've sparred for 10 years and I'm battering you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you better start beating me.
Start doing the thing better that you've had no training in yet.
Like, okay.
All right then, I guess
then. And you're just like
magic that up somehow.
Exactly, yeah. So
what were you firing? What was the first weapon?
SA-80, SA-80A2 rifles.
Do you like the SA-80?
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, love it.
A nice ergonomic weapon.
Yeah.
Not the prettiest looking.
Nah,
you never see them in films.
No, I know. Yeah.
Never. You always see M16s. You never see SA-80s. It's not a pretty looking weapon, but very ergonomic.
Yeah, it's heavy. It does the job. Yeah. It's got good capabilities. I'll take it.
So at that point you joined, you presumably didn't pass your first kit inspection.
I didn't pass up till probably like week 15. I think I failed like every single one.
Really?
Yeah. And that's
because
it's number one, it's a game.
Yeah.
Number two, it's almost impossible to pass.
Okay.
And they're just trying to break you.
Yeah.
And that happened in week 14. I broke, so to speak, on an exercise, just absolutely broken. And then from there, so I got myself in a bit of a state. Yeah. So what we do in the Royal Marines is something called wet and dry. So they'll wake you up. You're in the field, so you're out in your bivvy. Wake you up at 3 a.m.
Bivouac, a little tent.
Yeah.
A bivvy.
Correct. And they wake you up at like sort of 3 a.m, march you down to a river. Bearing in mind we were going through the winter of 2009/2010. Look at the records, coldest winter in 50 years on Dartmoor.
Well done. Good luck.
Yeah, that was great. Cheers. I can't feel my feet anymore. That's great. And they just throw you in a river, fully submerge you, thrash you for an hour or two. And then they're like, right, back to your bivvies, back to your ponchos. And so what you do is when you get into your sleeping bag, you have to get into your dry kit. And when you get out of your sleeping bag to go on sentry or you know to start the day, you got to get back into your wet gear.
Why?
Because
you've only got 2 bits of
gear. It's a life-saving thing. So imagine if I wore my dry kit outside and then that got soaked and my other stuff soaked, all of a sudden we're in a survival situation.
Yep.
So it absolutely sucks. Probably one of the worst things in training. But
sounds like torture.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So what we were doing is we were having to when we got out of our sleeping bags, get our trousers back on, but our trousers had frozen over. So we were having to crack our trousers open to get them back on.
There's a moment in a person's life that simply most human beings will never experience.
Yeah.
You did this in the dark at like 5 a.m. to go on a watch, did you?
Yep.
You put on frozen pants.
Yeah, frozen trousers, yep.
And broke the ice off your frozen trousers, and then did you go and sit somewhere whilst you were doing your watch?
Yeah, so then what you do is when it's sort of day breaking, everyone has to stand too. So you're in the prone position. Everyone's looking out from our positions, and you basically that's normally a time an enemy would attack is sort of like that dawn, and so you've got to wait there for 45 minutes, and then you go into your morning routine where you have like a like a shave, you get your scran, sort your rifle,
Scran, food, darlings, food, breakfast time, scrannage.
Yeah. It's amazing. Sorry, yeah. It's amazing how many words that are like, used.
Well, when also there's American military slang and then there's British military slang, isn't there? Which some of it is in Scouse language anyway.
Yes, because of the docks, I think.
Yeah, because of the docks, and then it wouldn't be. Maybe everywhere has Scran. I don't know.
I'd never heard of it before the Marines.
Really? So down south, no Scran. Do you have Scran, Jacob? Where you're from? Where are you from? Nottingham. There's no Scran in Nottingham. I think Liverpool has. I think we have Scran. So you're still in your icy pants.
Yep.
And then you think
like 3 or 4 days.
It originated in Scotland. According to Wikipedia. Oh, nice. What's it short for, or is it just like a Gaelic word?
It means what can be scrounged.
Scrounged. Yeah. Here's what I've scrounged for you, boy. Your scran. Lovely.
Either just food or scraps of food gained by begging.
Gained by begging.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, because
military,
then you're having these little packages of food.
Yeah, rations. Yeah,
ration packs. Do you enjoy them?
No. Like I've got some. So we do military prep weekends now for my company.
Yeah,
and I've got some in my office right now, and I like look over some. I've got like PTSD from looking at the rations. Like,
you're getting flashbacks,
mate. Honestly, like freaking horrendous.
Even the smell of them. I was never in the military, but I was in the cadets. The smell that the little fires make instantly,
the hex
triggers the memory, doesn't it? It's
but even like Oreos, like I like lived off Oreos in Afghan, and now like if I see an Oreo, I'm like having a breakdown.
Start twitching. So it sounds physically tough in ways that most people, thankfully, never have to experience. Very tiring. You're never sleeping properly. You're never fully dry, which is exhausting. You're never fully warm.
It's horrendous. That's the hardest.
It's very painful. Yeah.
And you're constantly under the microscope. If you make mistakes, they're on you like that.
And they scream at you.
On you, yeah. And it's not even, there's not so much screaming and shouting in the Royal Marines. It's more thrashings. So it's not like...
What's a thrashing?
A beast, like a...
beast?
Yes, same thing.
What's a thrashing? A beasting?
What's a beasting? It's...
It's these thrashings and beastings, so they wouldn't shout at you, they would just give you physical punishment.
There's like an element of shouting, but it's more just, there's pain. So you mess up, there's pain.
What would typical pain be?
Right, lads, see that tree over there? You look over, that tree's half a mile away. Best effort, first 5, don't go again. 3, 2, 1, go. And so there's 40 of you, all vying for the top 5 spots.
Yeah.
800 meters there, 800 meters back.
Yes.
You're max effort and you come in 6th.
Yeah.
Right, off you go again then.
Fuck.
And you got to go again, and you keep going until you're top 5 or top 3. So everything's paced. Everything within Royal Marines training is about winning.
Yes.
You have to be the best.
Yes.
If you're not the best, you're scum.
Yeah. I love it. As a older man with the psychology, and particularly looking at childhood trauma, I'm like, this is a fantastic way to traumatize young people.
Mate, yeah.
Very enjoyable. Well done, the Royal Marines.
Yeah, lots
well
of
done,
there.
British military.
That's why. So we started with 60, finished with 12, I think.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was that sort of a dropout rate?
Yeah. And so like we've got a little group of like guys at the moment who are in the same training team, and I posed the question the other day. I was like, guys, can anyone else not feel their feet the moment the temperature goes like below 5? And everyone's like, yeah, my feet are destroyed, my feet are ruined, my hands are ruined, and like.
And was that from an excessive exposure to cold?
Yeah, so cold weather injuries, not only from training, but also like most of us have done like Norway and various places like that where it's it can go to like -40 and stuff like that, and so Yep.
Week 14, you said you broke.
Yeah.
How did that manifest?
So what happened is we were coming back from so it's a test week. It's called Baptist Run. So
Baptist Run.
Baptist Run. Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, like that name. But it's a test week, so you get done on your map reading, your night navigation. So map reading with no sleep. You've got a little red dot, and you've got to navigate yourself around Woodbury Common. It's really intense. Loads of other tests. So it's just a week of just scrutiny and being cold and wet. And what happened is we were coming back from like a map stance. We were all rushing back to the harbour position where all our ponchos were.
What's the harbour position?
Where you basically camp, like where all your ponchos are laid out.
And you said a map stance?
Map stance would be like a static map stance would be, they'll take you up to like a viewpoint. You've got your map and you've got to put your map to the ground.
Yep.
And then they'll be like, right, lads, find this on the map, or, you know, where's this trig point, and you've got to work it out and stuff, because it's really vital to be a good soldier is being able to map read.
Absolutely.
And so we were coming back from that, and all the lads were like going down this little path, and I was like, lads, just jump over this ridge. So I've jumped over and I've landed in a bog up to my eyeballs. Well, not up to my eyeballs, up to my neck. My weapon's fully submerged in like this sticky, pooey mud. And so I was like, lads, get me out. So they've had to drag me out. And I had a little bit of a meltdown there, like, because I was sleep deprived, felt like I'd done crap on some of the tests.
How old were you at this point?
19 still, I think. I think it would have been, 2010, sort of like February time. So I was 19, so still relatively young. And what I did, rather than go and submerge myself in like a river or something like that and wash myself, I was a Hmong, and can we use that word?
Yep.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want.
I was a Hmong, and basically got my...
It's a military term.
Yeah, it's a military. It doesn't mean whatever others would use it as. I got that clothing off, put it at the bottom of my Bergen and put my dry kit on. And then that night we got marched down to the river. I was obviously in my dry kit.
Shirt.
Got freaking submerged. When I come back, the training team had my muddy kit. I was like, whose kit's this? And I was like, it's mine, sir. And
they knew perfectly well what had happened anyway.
Yeah, it was just a really dumb mistake. I'd been lazy. I'd been a poor admin, poor mindset, tried to cheat the system, and got caught for it. And my captain, my troop officer, was like, I'm gonna put you through that Land Rover. Like, he was so angry with me. And then I sort of wilted really under the pressure of it all, and was a bag of crap. All my kit had been thrown out, like all over the harbour position. So all my kit was completely drenched. Everything was soaked. My sleeping bag, everything. So I was just basically going down, and it was middle of winter as well, sort of like January, February time, and just sort of crumbled. And then I remember I got through that exercise. And I remember being really honest with myself and going, like, you either sort your... Because I was weak mentally, like, with the cold. I was, like, always, like, trying to, like, if there's, like, a puddle, I'd, like, try and not get my feet wet and stuff like that. So I was, like, fit as a fiddle. Everyone would look at me and go, yeah, he's, like, built to be a soldier or whatever. Mentally weak for that environment. Maybe not to the average person, but definitely being honest with myself, I wasn't mentally tough enough.
By the insane standards of the Royal Marine Commandos.
Yeah. And I wasn't mentally tough enough. And I had that decision there and then. Do I wilt? Do I leave? Do I quit now?
Did anybody ask you, do you want to quit? Because they could see that your head had gone?
Yeah. There's comments all the time flying out.
Because you have adults there who are looking at these young men and like, okay, we're supposed to push them, not kill them. Because guys do die on exercise.
You got to remember though that these guys, our training team especially, had who all had multiple tours under their hats. Probably had loads of snags themselves, to be honest. Looking back, hated us because I guess they were like, you want to come into our, like, my mates have died for this cap badge, for this green beret. You're not up to the stand. You're like, how dare you even want to be one of us? Like that sort of mindset, which I think has changed a fair amount now in the last sort of like 12, 13 years. But at the time, this was like heat of Afghan, heat of Iraq. You know, like the training team.
When you say they had their own snags, what do you mean?
So, for instance, our troop officer still had shrapnel from being ambushed.
Right.
I think in Afghanistan. It's, you know, like that stuff don't go away, does it? And then all of a sudden you're put in charge of a recruit troop. And I don't know how much help there was back in the day. That's not to discredit the military, but you know,
no, it's an ongoing problem.
It's one of them things, isn't it? And that's just life as warriors. You got to just crack on. And so so I guess going back to that, I remember saying to myself, I will never allow myself to be in that position of weakness again. And it was at that moment I started to probably become a Royal Marine. And so a couple of exercises later, something happened with my poncho basically collapsed under like torrential rain. I was living in a basically a muddy puddle, like everything was completely dry, and I was laughing. I was like, freaking love this. Whereas 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd have like probably absolutely welted.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, wow, this is it now.
Why didn't you quit? It was an option to just go home.
Shame, probably. I'd already failed at football career. I was like, is this another thing that I'm going to walk around with? So as much as it's like the green beret was in my mind, whereas a lot of people say, I just want that green beret. For me, it was, I don't want to fail again. So, you know, make of that what you will from a psychological point of view.
Well, you need a strong reason to endure that torture.
That was what I needed, was that sense of shame. And obviously I wanted to be a Royal Marine, but it was more, I'd never like, some people dream of being a Royal Marine from the age of 3. I'd failed at football in my mind, and I was like, right, what's the hardest challenge? And I was like, I guess what I was trying to do is prove that I could do it.
In the army, they had lads that they would say were army barmy. I don't know what you say in the Royal Marines, but they wanted it since they were a child.
Like just royally, just freaking like living for it. Yeah.
Is that what you call them?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Whereas like that wasn't really me. I just wanted to push myself and go. I guess what had happened with my football is I've gone, I'm not. Maybe I haven't got what it takes. I think as a male, I can't speak for women. I think we've all got that innate thing of like, have I got what it takes? You know, like when it comes down to it. Well,
as a footballer,
as I guess anything.
Have I got what it takes to be in the VIP sipping champagne and 150,000 a week? These poor fucking footballers.
I think, have I got what it takes to be elite?
Yeah.
And for me, an elite athlete was like, that would be my dream. I wanted to be like an elite athlete. I'd work my life up.
So I haven't done the Royal Marine Commandos compared to, okay, they train for 6 hours a day, and I know it's tough, but they're generally not wet. And submerged in frozen water. I mean, it's pretty cushy, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think
as a point of reference, like between the two.
Yeah. I think I've got a lot. It's a hard one because they shouldn't be on 250 grand a week. But to get to being a professional footballer is extremely hard because of the competitiveness. You know, I've got a lot of respect for their mindset, in a sense of like, if you think of someone like Beckham, right? Within the first year of being a first team player at Man U, he was already a multi-millionaire probably. Could have done 3 years, been a model and just like live, but he for 20 years he went in day after day and trained and kept his body right and you know, put
Worked
up with
hard.
the abuse and stuff. So, you know, like the wages are ridiculous, but
I would take that 3,000 times over the dunking in the ice and being torn out of a 10 to 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
but
for 18 grand a year.
Yeah, for 18 grand a year. That's the other thing we've got to remember. So there was a breaking point there, but you pushed through it at age 19. And then, well, then you passed. What was the final test? Is after 9 months. What's it called, the final
30
test?
30 miler.
The Yomp.
Yep.
What is that? Tell people.
So you've already done 3 Commando tests to that point. You've done a Tarzan assault course, which is an assault course 30 foot in the air. And at the time there was like no netting or anything. So if you fail, you basically like broke your neck or whatever.
Is it the same as the parachute regiment Trainasium?
Yes, similar sort of thing.
I've done that one.
Oh, right, cool. Awesome.
Potential officer course for the
nice,
back in when it was an Aldershot, a very, very long time ago.
Yeah, awesome. So,
but it's psychologically very hard without the netting. It's frightening.
Yeah. So you start with that, and then you go on to the bottom field and do the assault course on the ground, and it's like you got 13 minutes to complete the whole thing. Is that the first test? No, the first test is the endurance course, which is on the Saturday, which is 6 miles, 2 miles of tunnels and going like being submerged and stuff. You've probably seen the videos, and then 4 mile run back to camp, followed by a shooting test. Then you've got
is that immediately after you've done your 4 miles, you go straight to the range, out of breath.
Yep. And your rifle better be serviceable, so you better have looked after it.
And there's this SAAT again.
Yep.
Prone, standing.
10 shots in the prone position. I think you've got to get like 6 or 7 on target, which most lads, that's fine. It's just to make sure that your rifle's still serviceable and you're still like able to think and focus and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you have this, so that's on the Saturday, Sunday off. Then Monday is, I might have this wrong, but I think the Monday's a 9 mile speed march at 10-minute mile pace within your troop. So you've got to be uniformed for 9 miles. You basically
How much kit have you got?
21 pounds and a rifle, which rifle's another 20 kilos or something. Sorry, 20 pounds, something like that. So 40 pounds roughly.
What is that in kilos? Like 22 kilos, 25
21
kilos?
pounds is about 10 kilo. And then the rifle, I think the rifle's about 10 kilo as well.
That's
roughly.
with ammunition as well, isn't it?
So you have like your fighting order. You won't actually have ammo on you, but you'll have weight.
Okay.
Sort of simulated
it, yeah.
So you do that in your troop.
So you're walking very fast pace with weights on.
Yep. So you walk or like sort of march up the uphills, and then you jog and jog the flats and downhills.
Okay.
And so it sort of works out at 90 minutes for 9 miles. And then the next day,
it's an incredible pace that.
Yeah. With that kit.
Yeah.
And then the next day you've got your the Tarzan assault course, and then the day after that, so you're already absolutely shattered. Bearing in mind you've done 9 months of arduous training, so by then you're already broken. You've got every niggle under the sun. Then you've got your 30 miler over Dartmoor, which is very rough terrain, and you've got 8 hours to complete that in your sections.
So 30 miles, 8 hours, rough terrain. And is it the same amount of weight that you're carrying? Similar?
So you have your day sacks on. This sounds really bad. I can't remember if you have a rifle on you.
For the final yomp?
Yeah, for the 30 miler. That I'm sure if you Google...
Could you Google actually the final yomp?
It sounds horrendous that I've forgotten that, but...
You'll be roasted in the comments. It's
just
PTSD has just caused you to dissociate.
I'm also like operating on a few hours sleep because our kids are ill.
Oh, okay. So you probably just blanked the memory. And did you see friends of yours fail?
Oh, loads.
Really?
Yeah. And like loads of injuries, loads of like... I've seen, so we do a lot of rope climbing. So you know that the ropes in Empowered are 17 foot. Ours are 30 foot and they're a lot thicker. And you're carrying 21 pounds on a rifle up the rope.
So you have to go all the way up to the top?
Yeah, and you do it like multiple times. Like, and you by the end of training, you're like flying up them.
Yeah.
And I've seen like lads fall from the top and just their ankles turn to dust. I've seen 2 lads that happen to. Lads just on yomps, so in our... second from last exercise, violent entry. I think we did like...
What did you say? Violent entry?
Violent entry.
What's that?
It's basically like an exercise of like loads of different military sort of...
You're fighting in a built-up area, simulated.
Bit of that, bit of green skills, map reading, obviously, ambushes, like everything that you've learned, you sort of put into...
Yeah.
It's like a semi-test exercise before your final exercise, which is your last one, obviously. And I think we yomped, I want to say like 60 miles, something like that, in 2 days with about 100 pounds. I had about 100 pounds on a GPMG, which is about 20 kilos, something like that.
Did everybody have a GPMG?
No. So what happened is my corporal had a bet with another corporal that I couldn't carry it the whole way. And so I got stuck with it. Which,
thanks, Corporal.
Yeah, in hindsight, I'm like buzzing about it. At the time, I didn't know that they'd made a bet,
right?
And I was because what you do is you normally do like say 10 miles and then you pass the weapon system round on a big yomp like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I had the GPMG for like 2 days.
That's insane.
I think it's like 2 days or 2.5 days.
Isn't it twice the weight of the SAAC?
Yeah, it's about I think it's about 20 kilo off the top of my head.
That is insane. Yeah. Well, I'll have
apologies to the Royal Marines community. I can't remember.
I would have thought they would have forced, just to torture you, they would have forced.
Yeah.
Because like for people who don't know, and we shouldn't assume too much, like everybody's walked, but then you're walking with a backpack on and you're walking with other stuff on over rough terrain. But when you're walking, it's nice to have your hands to swing.
Yeah, and you normally...
And if you don't, it's actually really fucking... Not at first, maybe not for the first half an hour, but eventually it's extremely uncomfortable.
No, definitely.
And then if you double the weight... over 2 days, you're bracing that with your back, your shoulders, your biceps, your forearms.
Oh, your biceps take a beating.
Yeah.
Holding and like we patrol differently to everyone else. So we always have our rifle in our shoulder when we patrol rather than putting under. Yeah, because we want to be ready.
For immediate action.
Yeah. So we always, that's a massive thing in the Marines is you don't...
You can't just sling it over your back.
Yeah, and you can just like switch off and stuff. Every single lad is a thinking soldier. Every lad's got... eyes on, everyone's focused and aware at all times.
Right.
And so that's a massive thing. But like Afghan was rough because we were doing 9-hour patrols with like loads of kit, about 40 to 50 degrees. And we were absolutely broken. Obviously, potentially getting contacted and all sorts as well. But Royal Marines training sets you up for that, so you're good to go.
You looked suddenly aware there, Jacob. You went. Oh, okay. You heard Afghan. Oh, okay. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into that. So you've passed out of. Do you call it passing out?
Yeah.
Okay. And presumably you were exhausted but delighted that you'd passed.
Yeah.
And then you had your parade.
Yeah.
Did your family come and see you passing out?
Yep.
That must have been an incredible
Yeah, it was awesome.
moment.
Yeah, it was good. And then you put on like a drill display, and
you did a drill display in a funky uniform.
Yeah, you feel like a legend.
That the ladies love.
Yeah.
Have you got pictures of that on your Instagram of you in your dress uniform?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think I've got one.
Yeah.
Thing is, throughout my career, I never had like Facebook. I was never really into anything like that.
Yeah.
And now that I've got like the company that gets people ready, I'm like, crap, I've got no marketing.
Really?
So like lads have got like hundreds of pictures from Afghan. I've got like 3 pictures.
When you say you've got the company that gets people ready, you prepare people for the Royal Marine Commandos?
Yeah, Complete Commando. That's my company.
And this is for lads who want to do the Royal Marine Commandos. Yep. That's interesting. So how long do you train them for?
So it's online programming.
Okay.
So I've developed like online programs, and then we've got a YouTube channel where we do loads of like 5 tips to get ready.
That's
mindset.
a great idea.
Yeah,
I wish they'd had that for the paras. I wouldn't have taken such a fucking beating.
Were you in the paras?
No, I never joined. I went on different potential officer courses.
Right, okay.
But the POCs for most regiments were just like going and sitting in the mess and
Yeah,
chatting to the
and that weren't
officers
you.
and maybe go to the range. I think with the King's Regiment, we went to the range. We did some Fibua, and I was allowed to fire a mortar.
That's me.
Zoom in on him.
So
Well done.
can you see me? Which one I am? The really small, dark one. Two left of that. There he is.
Aha.
Look at that, 21 years old.
Looking extremely wary indeed.
Yeah. Thinking I'm a legend. 21 years old. No kids, no commitment. If I died, it didn't massively matter.
You went straight to Valhalla.
Yeah.
There was death.
It was what it was.
Honor and death.
Oh, yeah. That was in recruit training.
Well, let's have a look.
There's me in the middle there.
Stand by, unmask.
What's happening to that poor man? There's a video of you being tortured by your own country for everybody's benefit. We can hear the screams for mercy.
He wasn't affected. Oh, no, it was another lad who wasn't affected.
How long were you in that room for?
About a minute or so. CS gas absolutely rips you apart.
Yeah.
Do you know what? When I had COVID, I was like, this is like a
gassing.
Yeah. I was like, this is made in a lab. It was like, it felt exactly like that.
That was what my similar thought was. You could feel the lavishness of it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And even when it stopped, for me, it stopped within an hour. And I was like, it was 10:30 on a Sunday night. And I went, suddenly I'm nowhere near as sick. It was like it was on a timer or something.
Wow.
Felt very artificial.
Yeah.
I've never been in those CS. I've been CS gassed when
Yeah.
somebody mugged me once. So I know what it's like to be gassed. Why do they do that to you in these rooms?
I guess another way to mess with us is probably one explanation. I guess it's just used to, like, if we do riot control and things like that, and you know, we get gas, we sort of know what it's about. We know the effects of CS gas and what it has on you. Yeah, that's probably
It's one more rite of passage.
it's one more tick in the box.
Yeah.
Like, look at what we've been through.
So then you passed out. How did you find drill? Did you mind the drill?
That was all right. Yeah, my dad was a Scots Guard, so he was like, he loved all that.
Okay. So did he help you prepare for that kind of thing?
Not really.
Okay.
But he was impressed with the drill, which is good because obviously they're like the drill masters, aren't they? All the guards and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I sort of I'm not massively into drill, but I sort of had one mind on, like, my dad was a guard, I want to be good at this as well. And
Yes.
like, you know.
Do you judge other countries when you see them doing drill and it's shit? I do.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I do. You could say it.
The Americans are really good at drill. Like, they have drill teams.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And they do all that mad, like...
The best Americans are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The average Americans, I'm not so sure.
Mate, it's funny because when we come back from Afghan, we had to march through Plymouth for like three hours or whatever, and like the whole city came out to clap us, and we were absolutely like freaking crap at it. We'd had like half an hour to like go through some drill, and we were all like hadn't marched for like 3 years. Yeah, lads, people were like old veterans were like, get in step, lads.
Like, come on, chaps.
3 days ago we were like getting shot at, and now we're like,
now you have to do this bullshit. So you're. I want to come back to the complete commando thing, but your history here. So you passed out, and where were you stationed then? And you're 20 years old now.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, about 20. I went to Lane in Scotland. I was supposed to be there for 2 years, but then I got like I got there in September. Then on my computer system JPA, I had like a draft to 4-2 Commando, and so I kept it under the radar because I was like, that's actually where I want to go. That was Plymouth, and then I got called into the office in December, and they're like, hey, you've got a draft here to 4-2 Commando who were getting ready for Herrick 14 in Afghan. I was like, oh yes, sir. I saw that the other day, and that. I'm like, right, okay. Pack your bags.
Who chooses that?
The you got a draftee, so I guess you've got a team of sort of more senior, like the hierarchy, and they're doing the logistics of everyone.
So somebody had seen you and said, this is where we want this
I don't think it works like that. I think it's just a numbers game. Okay. And I just got lucky that I got moved to 4-2 Commando.
Which is exactly what you wanted.
I wanted to go to Afghan. And so, I got lucky in that sense.
How soon after passing out did you find yourself on a plane to Afghanistan?
So September, I passed out, and then I think it was like the August the following year.
And was there any extra training before
July? Yeah, you do like a beat up, and the unit gets ready.
Okay. Like, how long was that?
I missed the start of it, so it's a few months because obviously I was at Lane, and the unit went out in like March or April time, and then so I came in as a battle casualty, so someone had like died, and then I took their place.
So, and this training was done in Afghanistan, was it?
You do a week in Afghan, but you do a lot of like exercises within the UK, and you go to like 29 Palms as well. They do bits out there, like Black Alligator.
Where's
California?
Palms? Okay, so did you join them? You presumably joined them not right at the beginning, but you got the UK training, and did you do this California training as well?
No, so that we did California after Herrick, but I think it's like normally on a cycle of all units and stuff like that. But yeah, so I missed the start of the tour and went out a couple of months after the lads had been out there. So I was really upset because this is what I wanted to do. You go and test yourself, and you're 20 years old and you think, I need to get out there and stuff like that. And it's really funny because a lot of comments I get on like my TikTok and stuff and Instagram is like, you're a baby killer and like you murderer and you're working for the government. None of that was like going through my mind of like, I'm doing this for Tony Blair or whatever. Like it was literally a case of I want to test myself. Yeah. And like and help people and and if that means that we get in a scrap with Taliban or whatever, then so be it. And so it's quite interesting, like the mindset of what people put on you and what your mindset is going out there.
I think it's very confused, and it gets even more confused by the media portrayal. Yeah, and it's quite hard for us, as civilians who haven't served like you have, to sort of put your mindset into that place. I have a tiny window in because of the short period of time where I was doing the potential officer courses and I was in the cadets and that type of thing, but I never lived that life. And I think it's very hard it's so immersive. Your experience is so immersive. You're 24/7. They're feeding you, they're clothing you, they're housing you. And that is what you are for years on end. That's your whole life. Yeah. There's nothing like that in civilian life. Nothing. The only thing that would compare is prison. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That I can see being in the police is nothing like that. Yeah. Even, it doesn't matter what department you're in. So you flew out to a regiment that already had its own cohesion. You didn't know the lads who were in there. Did you know anyone at all?
I knew a few lads because we went out together. A couple of us had gone out
What was the average age, would you say? They're young lads as well.
Yeah, like 20, 24 maybe, 23.
And is it generally easy to sort of integrate into these groups?
It depends because so you've got like PBs, so your patrol base, which is like a big hub, and then from those hubs you've got smaller hubs called CPs, which are like your checkpoints. Patrol. Hold on, sorry. CPs. You got your CPs, and so those lads are on the ground day after day, like patrolling that. So when I joined my CP, which you're very much front line, these lads have like potentially had a lad die or a couple of lads been blown up and stuff like that. Yep. So now they're like really tight, and then you come in and you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, oh, when can I go on patrol and stuff. You've got a little bit of Hollywood feel about it, and they're like, we freaking saw like Smithy get like blown up like 2 days ago, and who's this little like 20-year-old prick sort of thing. And so I was really aware of that going in, and so I just like kept myself head down. I just like do what was told of me, make sure I performed on patrols, make sure I was like a useful lad, and then they just sort of accept you.
That's the best way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
just be a good soldier.
And I think that goes to anything. Like if you're going into a new organisation, new anything, just make sure that people, just be a big person and be helpful and volunteer. And
I always do that with security teams. If I do nightclub security, I'm always like, don't be the person. Don't get involved in conversations about violence or lifting weights or anything. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And if they tell you to stand somewhere, go and stand there.
They'll accept you when they want to accept you.
Yeah, it takes time.
Don't try and be acceptable.
Yeah. I'm really cool like you guys.
Yeah. Please love me.
So how long was your first tour in Afghan?
3.5 months I was out there. So we do 6-month tours normally, and we do like cycles. I think the Americans do 12 months normally.
Yes.
But we'll be out on the front line for 6 months.
So, okay, so to the Afghan thing, how did they fly you out there? Did you fly in a commercial plane to get out there?
Commercial to Dubai, and then a military Dubai to Afghanistan.
Interesting.
To Bastion.
Okay.
And then you get helo out to your PB.
What's a helo?
A helicopter, like a Chinook.
And what did you fly in to go from Dubai to where's the airport they were taking in Afghanistan?
Where's what? Sorry,
which airport would they fly you into in Afghanistan?
Bastion. So Bastion and Camp Leatherneck. So Camp Leatherneck was the American side. Bastion was the British side, and it was like a massive.
We had the cooler name with that one.
Yeah, we had the cooler name, but they had the better
everything.
They had the better Scran. Their Scran was unbelievable, and they had like all the funding, whereas we had like stew. So I used to go.
Is this why there's memes on TikTok now where you see like the English version of The Simpsons? And they seem to think English people live in some post-communist dystopia.
Yeah, with like really bad teeth.
With horrible teeth.
Yeah. It's not far off, to be fair.
Why would they think that? So what did you fly in? Like what was the?
I think it was like a C-17. I thought.
And is that like a transport?
I think it's like a big logistics plane.
What's that like? Is it super uncomfortable and noisy and shit?
Yeah, because you're wearing your helmet and your body armor, and then all of a sudden, like as you get close to like Afghan, they're like, right, we're gonna turn the lights out, so all the lights go out on the plane.
Yeah.
You're sat in pretty much like pitch black. You've got like I think like red lights.
Do you fly forwards or backwards?
I think I was forward.
And is that like a 4 or 5 hour flight from Afghanistan, Dubai to Afghanistan?
Maybe, yeah. To be fair, it was all a blur because your adrenaline's going through the roof.
I'm sure it was a blur, and it's the reason why I'm asking you is because I think it's easy. I don't know. With therapy, you have to get in somebody else's reality, and I think one of the things that happens with military, when you have PTSD, part of it is you can't relate to people, and people can't relate to you. And I'm always thinking, how would you do that therapeutically? And it's in the details. So you. Like the experience of flying in the dark in a helmet into a war zone for not quick, because if it was a film, that would be a montage.
Yeah,
you go plane, boom, he's on it, boom, and then down. No, you sat there and thought about it.
Well, do you know what's a really good montage for that is Saving Private Ryan, where on the boats,
right?
And just before the front comes down, you they're all there, and I think it's like a minute or two long. and they're all
Didn't
sort
some
of,
vets from there say that was really like a good representation?
Yeah, and I say that's as close as I can. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying my experience is like D-Day landing. It's like fricking out. Like, but that was a good representation of like you're sat there in your own thoughts. You know, you're 20 years old going, I'm about to fly into Afghan. Like I'm replacing someone who's died.
You must have been
freaking go.
Yeah, and there's that sense of like, let's go, and a kind of a shock and dissociation because the experience. It's not like they can grade you up to that. They can grade you up to a lot of things.
To a certain point. Like
they can't grade you up to that experience of, I'm now going to fly into a war zone in the dark in this massive fucking plane. I don't know if you knew the people you were flying with. Or
one lad, I think, Aggers. One lad,
it's crazy.
But I think as well is like what was. So I've got massive respect for like people who are in my position now, who were out there at the time. So I've got 3 daughters, a wife. You know, like if I die, it's probably a bad thing now. Whereas at the time I was like single, like not estranged from my family, but like didn't live with my family, hadn't for a few years. It was like if I die, it's gonna be sad for everyone, but it's
there's
not
massive
like the end of the
practical cost if you die now.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't then.
Whereas then it's like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you remember Sam at school? Yeah, he died in Afghan. Like, oh, that's real. Oh, that's sad. Anyway, should we go and, whereas now.
I'm sure it would be more than that, but I take your point.
I sort of think that was my mindset going in. I kind of remember.
You felt disposable.
Yeah, I felt on the ground. I think that's probably what I needed to feel like
I think you do.
Yeah. And I think everyone finds that what they need. So I can't imagine how a sergeant would feel, say he's got, well, I know of a sergeant who had he was in my position, had 3 children, and obviously he passed away on our tour. How the flip do you like?
So he was the age you are now.
He was pretty much me now. I think he was slightly older. How on earth do you have the courage, the mindset, the ability to switch that side of your life off to go and do your duty that, for a cause that you probably don't massively potentially believe in?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Such cost. It's such cost.
For politicians who are living in a gated community in London.
Just so we can secure opium. I'm joking. Listen, don't be silly. This isn't a conspiracy podcast.
Quick one though, we did burn opium fields out there. We forced farmers, we said, if you don't burn your field, we'll burn it for you. And then we'd give them loads of resources and money to do other stuff. But we did walk through weed fields freaking up to like above our heads.
Did you really?
Yeah. And like getting high off the freaking fields. It's amazing.
Can we walk through again, Sarge?
I need to go back because...
Why do you keep walking through that field? No fucking reason.
But yeah, how does someone like him get his mindset right? And mate, like freaking can't imagine it. I can't imagine me doing it now where there's real consequences to me going out there and dying.
Yes. No, I mean, it's called the infantry because they need really infants. They need young men who will die.
Never thought of that.
Apparently, that's the root of the word.
Yeah,
that's
makes sense.
The root of infantry. You need young, impressionable men. Well, we're genetically predisposed to war when we're young. We're more psychopathic when we're young. The parts of the brain related to consequence are... You've got far too good an imagination at your age. To just be like, I'm the Terminator. Stick me at the very front.
And I think we're trying to prove ourselves when we're younger, whereas I think we go through like I sort of think of it, and you'll be way better at me than this sort of thing. But like I sort of think of it as like you're in your warrior phase, then you become a king, and then like a sage type thing, or so there's stages of life.
I love that I'm in my kingly sage stage,
where like I'm too important to go and die now. Like,
that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
The last time I did door work was I did a round of it like a month ago, and there were situations kicking off, and I was like, it would be so costly to all my poor followers if someone stamped my brains out my nose.
It would be.
When older people used to tell me about responsibility, I'd be like, that's a fucking excuse. And I'm like, no, I'd lose money, and like, it costs too much.
Who am I going to tell my stories to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got no one else to tell them to. So.
Right.
You can't die, otherwise.
Yeah. It would be damned irresponsible.
Yeah.
So you're very young. You're in Afghanistan. Was it how you imagined it to be?
I don't know what I imagined.
Or were you just open? You were just ready to soldier,
Yeah,
and you
I just wanted to prove myself. I just wanted to. I think the whole time I was out there was I want the lads to go. He's a good lad, and he's like reliable, and I think I was just really. It's really hard to think about that.
Did you achieve that goal?
I think so. I think I was a good team player. I don't think I let the team. I can't think of any circumstances where I let the team down.
Do they make reports of you? Do they say to you, like,
yeah,
you're
I had
doing
a good
job?
report. Yeah, I had a good report.
You must have been very happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and especially
who gives you that report?
Your troop boss. So I had lieutenant was in command. He'd come out of training. He was an Olympian rower. I think he got a bronze at like the Beijing Olympics or something like that in rowing.
Amazing. Can you say his name?
I won't. But fittest guy, like such a good leader, such a good bloke. Like he was probably he's probably like 25 at the time, maybe 24, 25. Really good, like just absolute solid. Was on every single patrol. So what would happen is we'd have like a plan for our patrols, or if we're going to like, clear a compound or whatever, and they'd be like, lads, anyone want to add to this, or anyone see anything in this? And like I could be like a sproggy little 20-year-old and go, yeah, sir, or you call him by his name out there. What I think maybe this because of this, and if you had like a genuinely like good idea, go, Roger, yeah, we'll scrap what I said. Let's go with that plan. Blah blah blah. Everyone happy.
That's good.
And like that showed me there was no ego. It was simply we've got this cause. We're a bunch of men doing what we're called to do. This is our duty, and like everyone's got a voice.
You said you called him by his name out there. You mean his family name, his surname?
His first name.
Really?
Yeah. So Royal Marines is more big boy rules with all that stuff, like and like even my sort of sergeant major would be really sad. He was a mountain leader, so like a specialist soldier, done every tour under the sun, and it was just really sound and really chilled. And
would that change if there was another more superior officer there and you had to maintain?
I'd play the game. I'd play the game. Like I think I'd always first say sir. Also, if I'm saying sir and you're saluting them and that, who's the target?
Okay.
Oh, he's just saluted that guy who's got the radio on.
Right.
Let's drop him. Should we drop him because he's
Okay.
probably the most important?
Okay. So it's actually tactically.
As well. So
at all times there, you're not saluting or using titles.
You don't salute out there
at all.
Nope.
Okay.
And also like you'd place him in different areas on the patrol because he's the guy, and also he wouldn't carry or you'd pass the radio between.
He wouldn't ride like a white horse at the front. No.
Nope.
No. Oh.
Do you know who the most wanted people in Afghanistan were?
Who?
The padres, the chaplains.
Why is that?
Because I guess the religious thing of like they're
really.
Yeah.
You petty fuckers. Jesus Christ! They wanted to get the Christian padres.
Yeah.
To do what with them?
Just kill them.
Fucking hell!
It's like because they're thinking we're Christians coming over, whereas like the last thing most lads are is Christian.
That's wonderful. I had no idea.
For them, it's a religious war, isn't it? Like
right.
And
they think that we would be like,
they
oh
think
no.
we're doing it. Yeah. Most lads probably be buzzing like he was a weirdo anyway.
Now we will burn the Bible in front of you. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Good for you. There's a Marine chaplain that I'm going to interview. Hopefully after next week. He is somewhat Christian, but he's massively, his big thing is psychology and psychology support.
What's his name? Do you know? Is it American or?
He's an American.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, he's American. But when this comes out, I'll show it to him first before I interview him, because there are these kinds of issues that we've discussed. Like there's PTSD. Obviously, everybody thinks, it's the combat, but it can actually be in the training. And he said there's unprecedented levels of problems now. With young American Marines going in. They think it's going to solve a problem, give them a life, give them money, and they just basically bring all their problems from whatever hometown back into the Marines.
Interesting.
Addictions, food disorders, all kinds of stuff.
Food disorders are a massive one.
Did you see that out there?
Yeah, like I only realised being a PT, like I probably had like some sort of eating disorder or whatever, like where we would just absolutely like binge, but because we were training twice a day, get away with it. And then when the moment you stop training, like, oh, I'm getting fat here, but like no control over my food whatsoever. Would ram it down, would like, you know, almost like in desperation of like, say if I bought like a big chocolate bar, like, you know, one of those massive Cadbury ones, by the time I've got home in the car from like Sainsbury's, I'd scranned it.
It's gone.
And we're like, what the heck? Like I'd be thinking about like there's chocolate in the cupboard, and like it was just like this big boy eats type thing. And
well, I used to train with a couple of paras, and I would politely offer them food, and they'd always take it. And eventually, one of them said to me, "Never offer a soldier food, because we're just going to fucking eat everything you've got." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Even if I'm not hungry, I'm scranning it. Like,
because I might be hungry later otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many tours did you do in Afghanistan?
I just did the one.
The one
I did
tour.
the one, yeah.
And how do you mind talking about contacts?
I don't mind it, but for those I serve, some lads have gone on to SF, and we had 7 lads die on our tour, and so I'm.
Can we talk in non-specific terms?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
When there were contacts, did you feel out of your depth, or did you feel like the training had really prepared you for this?
The first like initial thing is like, flip, what the heck is going on? And then you sort
I'm sure it's not flip.
Yeah, it's
You can swear.
Yeah.
Oh, flipping heck.
Yeah, it's.
You do still have a moment of shock.
Crap, like I'm not supposed to be here.
Okay.
And then
and that's your body telling you like this is death now.
Yeah, you're like, I'm a fraud, I shouldn't be here. And then you're like, and then you can sort of
settle in.
Yeah. We were quite fortunate as well as when I was there. Like I see, one thing I do struggle with is I was about to go out on a patrol, and like we were about to go on a patrol, and then it got delayed by like half an hour for whatever reason. And then it was like, oh lads, we've got 10 lads on this patrol, we only need 8 now, so we're going to go and check start a checkpoint. So like you 2 drop out, so it's me and another lad. So we were just like, oh, okay, sounds like it was just luck of the draw. And that patrol took a long time. We were like, where the heck are the lads? So it was supposed to be like a really routine CP, like in the field, you know, like check some IDs, stuff like that. And on that patrol, one of our lads got killed, and I live with that sort of survivor's guilt, I guess. Like I should have sort of been there, like, and
what was it? Something that you were just told?
It was just luck of the draw. I was just lucky. Like
they just said you're staying back.
Just like 2 lads jump out, you're gone, lads, you jump out. It was
what did you end up doing instead?
I was just sat there like on my bed or whatever. Like I was like, I want to go. You know, I wanted to be on every patrol. Like because that was I'd already missed a lot of the tour.
And so you think the outcome could potentially have been different if things had been different?
It wasn't even that I could have done anything differently, you know. Like so, I think that lad, the insurgent, got killed, but he did get killed. But I guess it was like I should have been there. I should have been there with the lads. I should have been, you know, even not like that should have been me, but the fact I wasn't there to. I don't know how to describe it. Like
it's a very strict and shame-based way of looking at duty. You know, there's that Japanese concept of giri, duty, but the flip side of duty is shame. And it's not that you try to avoid shame with the soldiers, with the samurai. You try and instill both. Duty, shame. It's like yin and yang. It's the same thing, to keep that tightness, to keep that discipline there, so that your men, samurai just means one who serves, to keep them serving, to keep them doing it. And it's useful. It's a psychological function that works for soldiers. It's not a great psychological function for humaning. Soldiering, perfect.
Yeah.
Humaning, difficult, because it's beyond reason. It's beyond rationality, isn't it? Like you wouldn't instill that in your children.
Yeah.
Because it would be cruel.
Yeah, I think I don't give a crap about the agenda. I didn't give a crap about the agenda. I literally was out there to, you know, help Afghanis be free from sort of this type and to protect my lads and to test myself, and it's like protect my lads, and I wasn't able to do that. I'm not saying I would have been able to change anything, but it was the fact that like it had been taken out of my hands. I wasn't there for that certain patrol, and yeah, I guess there was like survivor's guilt. I don't know if that's what that sort of
it is survivor's guilt.
And I've always struggled with that. Because that was like,
This was a guy you knew. This was a guy you were living with.
Yeah.
That's really tough. That's really, really tough. And presumably there was, for the other lads who were there as well, the lads who were actually there with him, they must have felt awful.
Yeah, and definitely. And they can I think they almost can process it more, because I've got to like, you sort of sat there imagining how it went down and things like that, and you never have a clear picture of actually what happened, and you know, would it have been me? Would it, you know, and you start questioning all those things, and it's hard one. So you feel a bit of a sense of, I'm older now, so I can, it's not my freaking fault. I was called off the patrol. It's not like, you know, I'd done anything wrong, or I pulled myself off. So there's nothing I could do about it. It's just luck of the draw. But you do go, in a way, I wish I was on that patrol, as weird and twisted as that sounds.
And it is, in fairness to you and to everyone involved, it's an intrinsically sad thing. It's an intrinsically sad situation. Like the whole thing is, it's tragically sad. And it was ever thus. Like there's always tragedy, there's always catastrophe. Yeah. It's unavoidable that this kind of thing is going to happen. Were there other instances like that where you felt like you should have done more, or you could have done more, or?
I think that's the main thing that sticks out for me. My corporal from training is a triple amputee now.
Was that an IED?
Yeah. You know, it's like someone you look up to, someone who's like, wow, I want to be like that guy one day, and now he's got one arm, and you're like, the flip, where, like, you know, what's he doing with himself, like, and I think that's hard to take and stuff, but no, I think though that instance, the main one that sticks out for me, because there was nothing I could really do. We had, you know, we obviously got contact. We had lost lads. We had severe injuries, but I feel like I felt like I'd done well as a soldier. I'd done my duty, done what was asked of me. My duty to the lads, not to the government. I don't give a crap about that. So.
You asked me about being able to sleep. There are many things here that I can tell you will affect your capacity to sleep. The sleep problems you have is it's hard for you to switch off.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah,
that is hard. It is really hard. Even last night
was hard.
Yeah, just like there's no need for me to be awake.
Right.
You just get caught in your mind. I don't sit and think about like Afghan or anything like that, but
no,
what I found is I ponder over my whole life and stuff like that. It's really
you can become ponderous. You can become sort of like,
and it's at the wrong time.
Yeah,
it's like if it happened in the afternoon, it'd be sound, but it's like head on the pillow.
Why don't you think about this for hours?
Yeah.
Like really have strong emotions about this. There's a lot. The training effectively, from a psychological point of view, is a trauma bonding, torturous experience deliberately to turn you from human to soldier. Yeah, which it has to be, and I think that accounts for a lot of it. And then behind that, you've got the drive to keep doing your job. And keep doing a very, very good job, which is good in some ways, except if you want to live a normal human life.
Yep.
I think that's one of the things the chaplain wants to talk about is like there is an antithesis between civilian and military life. We still haven't dealt with. We don't seem to know how to deal with. Like before, you said you don't want to criticize the military for its inability to deal with PTSD and mental health issues, but there's always going to be that tension there. I think.
Yeah,
because civilian life and military life, they don't cohabitate.
Well, mate, we come back in the start of November, I think, something like that. And we'd gone from like being in Helmand province, you know, we did our little decompression in Cyprus for a few days, and then 3 or 4 days later, you're in Exeter High Street, and I remember really clearly there was like this little this 12-year-old. She was like complaining about to her mum, like, I want the iPhone or something like that. And I just remember being so angry at society, like out in Afghanistan, you know, these kids are like seeing people dying all around them. Like there's just bombs going, like, you know, death all around them.
They can be killed for going to, well, girls can be killed for going to school, can't they?
Yeah. And, you know, you give them a chocolate bar and they're made up, their little eyes like light up and stuff like that. And then it's like, I want an iPhone. Like freaking, I wanted to like punch like not only the kid, but the mum. Just be like, sort your freaking
hit them both with
out.
one punch.
Yeah, I reckon I could
bounce off the kid's head and uppercut the woman in the jaw.
Yeah, I reckon with the right technique, you could do it. Or you could do like
a double punch.
Yeah.
Dunk. And make their heads hit at the same time.
And for a few years after, I would really, especially with like Exeter, it's very like a well-to-do, like middle class, upper class city. I used to go, I just freaking hate it. Like hate the society of it and like what it stands for and like what the West stands for in that regard. And I feel better now.
But when you first came out, you really...
Just really angry at like, we're out there, lads are dying, this, that and the other, and these little pricks are just, you know, like...
It doesn't really make sense, does it?
It's messed up.
I do think when we look at like the PTSD and especially the suicide rate, depending on who you listen to with the stats, they say in America that more soldiers kill themselves from suicide when they come back from combat now than they do than are killed in combat.
Yeah, we had a lad on our tour, a friend killed. I found out last week. No, not last. About 2 weeks ago that he killed himself. He was on our tour, and there's been one or two others that I know of. I didn't know them massively well, but have killed themselves as well. Yeah. Probably the thing is, it's like 10 years later, 15 years later, and stuff, and then it's like the military can go, well, that's nothing to do with us or whatever. But we've done our trim treatment or whatever, and it's just like that build up and escalation. And
I do think. I mean, sometimes it, you know, I can't really say exactly what's happening there, but I do wonder about the tension of coming back to civilian life. I think it's just very, very hard for people. And we're not real. We go, oh no, well, you're back home now, so here's a cup of tea, shut the fuck up and go and queue for your Jaffa Cakes and Asda. What? How? Like dodging sniper fire a week ago, how the fuck is he? Or dodging IEDs. I mean, you know.
Well, it was fireworks night, I remember it, like really clearly. We're out in Exeter with my friends and it just felt really on edge and stuff like that. And it's just like absolutely pathetic, really. But like, it's like fireworks and you're a bit like scared or whatever.
Yeah, but flashing in the sky and big bangs now means something else.
Now it's like, okay, we're right in that. And
you're looking for things to hide behind.
5 and 20s, like your 5 meter range and your 20 meter range. Like, and I think you're just it's so, and then you're getting like little comments all the time, like down the pub, or your mates think like, oh, like, you know, soldiers are this, soldiers are that and stuff. And it's like you almost, like, I've come out now and I'm like, you're just a pawn in a sense. Like, and I do my service again. I'd do exactly what I did. And I'd say to people, join the military. Like self-development is like unbelievable if you go down the right path on that. But know what you're getting into and know that you are just a number. They don't give a crap about you deep down. They can't, because like they can't.
It's not their job.
That's not their job. Yeah, your job is to look after yourself. It's not their job.
Maybe that's another factor that's giving people trauma, is they think they're joining a family.
Yeah, that is exactly right, and they do it. And so you touched on the languages.
Yeah,
they do that on purpose. That we have our own little lingo and like Royal Marines lingo and that, and like, oh, you know, he speaks my language and stuff like that. They don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
all of that's done for a reason. The cat badge, like the pride. I've got my Royal Marines flashes on and stuff like that, and like, you know, that's all done to gel you.
Even the interregimental competition, they're deliberately Paras and Royal Marines. Yeah, okay, but ultimately you kill for the same people.
Exactly, we're on the same team.
Top level.
Yeah.
But that competition, it keeps you driving to be the best.
Yeah.
And it breeds that elitism.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to bring you in again if you're open to it. We have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Tell me all about the Complete Commando course. Thank you very much for bringing me in a t-shirt as well. When you asked me what size I was, what did you think I would say? You think I'm lighter than I am. I know, because I boxed with you.
I think large, but extra large biceps.
That's very kind of you, sir.
I thought about an XL. I brought an XL and an L with me. I wasn't sure.
Because you clocked me at 85 kilos. I was like, I'm 100 kilos now, lad.
Mate, you do well, mate. Fucking shoulders like boulders. So I maybe, because of the route we went down there, maybe put a bit of a negative light on it. There is obviously lots of, I think what the way to sum it all up as military experiences.
They need to know that the lads are going. You would not be doing your job for complete Commando properly. It's great, boys.
Yeah, and I've never done that. And also for those watching, I don't, I was in an elite service, but I don't look at myself and think I'm a freaking elite, like the best soldier. None of that crap. Like there's far better soldiers. People have done far more than me, and I'm just blessed that I got to serve with a lot of those guys. What I would say to sum up military services: your lows are very, very, very low, and your highs are very, very high.
Right.
And be prepared for that. It's a roller coaster.
Where can they find you, and what can they expect if they join your course?
So we're called Complete Commando. We've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everything under the sun now. We give loads of advice, mental preparation, physical preparation. We have 3 programs you can jump on, all low price, because I remember when I was joining I was skint, and so I wanted to make it accessible. And also we do military prep weekends now as well, so we've got a second one in July.
Fantastic.
We've got 13 lads signed up to that.
Where'd you do that?
On the Wirral.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's a war zone in itself. Come to
We're going to go to Birkenhead on the Friday night.
Fucking hell, lads. Bring your gum shields.
and North Wales on the Saturday.
Oh, fucking hell. Send you into Rill at 2 a.m. into the kebab shop like that. Come on, boys. Let's have it.
Who wants it?
Lovely stuff. So, is there a website for that? Or
CompleteCommando.com.
CompleteCommando.com. You're on Instagram, Sam Logan. If people go to my follower list, my following list, and look up, you can stalk Sam there.
Yeah.
And see him in his dress uniform. The ladies want to see that. And that's fantastic, mate. Would you come on again?
100%, mate. 100%.
Lovely. Sam, thanks very much
for joining
us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate that, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Please make sure to go follow Sam on Instagram and CompleteCommando.com. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Cheers.